I'm JD. Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe. Please hit like. This is a quick little video about a boot, as we say up in Canada, a boot, a carriage clock. So this is the carriage clock I've been working on for the last week. All kinds of problems. I did work on this one before, but what you typically have as a problem in the carriage clock is the platform escapement. So this is the platform escapement. It only works in this position. Worry about it being vertical or in any other position. It sits like this because these clocks were hung up in carriages, horse and carriages. So it sits like this, which is nice. The balance on a carriage clock is almost the same as the balance on a pocket watch. The escapement on the carriage clock is almost the same as the escapement. That's the escapement here, and the escape wheel. As that on a pocket watch. The only difference is there's a long pinion. If you look inside the back, I'm going to turn this thing around just a bit so you can see what's going on inside. But if you look inside the carriage clock and you see that escapement, I'll just look through the hole here. So right through that crack right there, this is the pinion for the escapement. And it's interfacing with what they call a contrate wheel. So this wheel right back here, right there, it's kind of a vertical wheel with teeth that are horizontal, is the contrate wheel. So that wheel interfaces, as you can see right up top there, with that pinion. So the problems I've normally dealt with carriage clocks is broken pivots, either the upper or lower pivot of this arrangement here of the balance and balance staff. The balance staff for this carriage clock would be the same as the balance staff fundamentally for a pocket watch. I've dealt with broken pivots on the escape wheel, or the escape wheel, upper and lower, and they're just slightly different. The pivots for these are quite long on the base, so as they go through the base, you can kind of see it right there. That pivot is pretty long, and the pivots are also a lot thicker because they're taking pressure from the contrate wheel here. So, and the mainspring for this carriage clock is right here, and it works its way. See if I got the right one. Yeah, this is the barrel, and it works its way up to the various gears here and pinions, 2, 3, over to this one here, up to this one here, over to this one here, and up to this pinion, and into the contrate wheel. So in this case, when you install, after you've repaired or cleaned a carriage clock, the positioning of the platform balance is very touchy, I'd say. So, and the way I position it is I'll loosen all these screws up after I've installed it, and I'll just move it ever so slightly, because if you move this platform balance towards this way, what you're doing is moving the teeth from the contrate wheel closer to the teeth of the pinion, or the gears of the pinion, the leaves of the pinion, I'll say. So you're adjusting it by moving this back and forth. Now, you can also adjust the contrate wheel with this back here, and there's a screw right there, and that screw either tightens or loosens the contrate wheel depending on the type of clock you're working on. This one here, it's not a lot of movement or leverage on this, so it's kind of the same. So that's what you're doing to adjust it, but the main adjustment is really up here, and once you have it adjusted and ticking like this one is here, you have to hold it in place and tighten these screws up and do not move it. So the other problem that this particular clock had was the contrate wheel there, that's in the middle right there, was not 100% vertical. It was warped ever so slightly, so as it spun towards where I put a mark on it, then it was providing more pressure. The teeth were providing more pressure on the pinion, and it was stopping the clock. So what I did was I put this in the contrate wheel. I chucked it up in my lathe and I measured it. I measured the actual vertical axis to make sure it was 100% on the vertical and not doing this. So, and it was doing that. And so I was able to tap it with a stake and a hammer and straighten it out enough so there was no discernible difference between any position in the circular, in any position within the circle of the contrate wheel. So that actually solved the problem. This particular contrate wheel has got quick pivots on either end, and this is where the pivots were broken off, and the watchmaker couldn't drill the holes in the pivots to repivot it. So what he did was he cut it off and put two, basically they're like hats with a point on the end, and the point is the pivot, and he put two hats on either end. So it doesn't give you as much leverage or to move this back and forth like this. It kind of is in place with not a lot of freedom of movement, which means that the platform balance is where you're adjusting it back and forth, left and right. It also has to be dead center to the actual pinion. So the contrate wheel teeth dead center to the pinion. So you're moving it back and forth, left and right, and back and forth, right? So, or up and down. So that's pretty much it. I've done a couple of platform balances for people in the past where I've repivoted the balance staff. I've actually built brand new balance staff for one of these before, a few times I think. I've done probably 6 of these already and got them running again. And they're not easy, I'd say, because they're very touchy when it comes to performance and running. So that's it. So this is the carriage clock, and if you look at another, like the full version of the carriage clock, we just move one of my carriage clocks into position here. This is what they actually end up looking like. I'm going to stand this thing up a bit and have a look at it. And there it is there. This is the carriage clock. That's the platform escapement. This is like a new one. They build new ones for these for some reason, but they build new ones because there's a lot of carriage clocks out there. The movement that you just saw is effectively inside of this, and if I just tip it forward like this, you're going to see the similar position of the contrate wheel ticking here, and that's it right there, and it's interfacing here with the pinion for the escape wheel, and that's all the mechanism. You see it ticking away there. So this one here is in pretty much mint condition. It's a Mappin and Webb carriage clock. They always have a little door in the back that enables you to open the door here and to wind it. And I put the winding key in here so I can just grab this like this and then wind it. And then you can adjust the timing of it in a few ways. In this one here, you can, as you can see, you set it by this lever here, and you adjust the timing of the carriage clock by just simply moving the arm on the platform escapement left or right, and that slows it down and speeds it up the same way you do for a pocket watch. So this is a very nice Mappin and Webb carriage clock. So that's my little chat on these things today. I think they're pretty cool, and they were. I think Napoleon, started these things off because he wanted to be able to time all the generals to have the right time for the attacks and stuff like that. So that's the carriage clock, and that's some problems that you might have in the assembly of the carriage clock. This carriage clock itself is a little more complex because it has an alarm mechanism on it as well, and that alarm mechanism is not, obviously the bells and whistles aren't established yet, and it's got 2 winding mechanisms. One is for winding the clock, the other one is for the alarm of the carriage clock. So that's it. That's the carriage clock. It's a beautiful piece, and this one here now is running quite well. So thank you. I'm JD, and thanks for watching this video today.